Are Germans all that you imagine them to be, or something totally different? Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. I am Donnie, and along with my wife Aubrey, we are two Americans currently living in Germany with our baby, sharing all of our experiences living and traveling throughout Europe. We've done multiple videos debunking classic stereotypes Americans hold of Germans, in particular the one stereotype that Germans hate the most of all, at least those that live outside of Bavaria, and that is that all of Germany wears lederhosen, eats white sausages, and drinks large beers by the liter. However, today I want to go after a few other stereotypes that Americans have of Germans and prove them wrong with specific examples of behaviors that we have observed Germans do during our 3 years of living in Germany. So that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today in our video. Those beliefs about Germans are about as real as mermans. This is another type of video where I like to first give the disclaimer that we are originally from a state in the southern US called Oklahoma and now live in the southwestern German state of Rheinland-Pfalz. So just like you can't paint the entire nation as the lederhosen wearing Bavarians, it is really hard to paint the entire nation with any one single general stereotype because of how diverse this country is. Therefore, my personal experience with these things may vary from yours, so let me know your thoughts on all of these stereotypes in the comments below. And with that, this first stereotype is actually a great example of something that truly may vary greatly across Germany, and that is disproving the stereotype that Germans are generally very cold, harsh, and one might even say rude. So this stereotype is a funny one because honestly, the definition of friendly is so different between Germans and Americans that comparing if Germans are friendly based on American standards of friendliness or Germans comparing how friendly Americans are based on a German standard really makes no sense at all. In fact, even within these two countries, being friendly in the Midwest or southern US states is fairly different from what it means to be friendly in the North or the East. The same is actually true for Germany as well. And in fact, I would like for our German audience to let us know in the comments where you believe you find the friendliest people in Germany. And sure, there may be some fundamental details of what being a friendly human may mean, but it's the nuances between the very generalized and overarching cultures of each country that makes what it means to be friendly surprisingly different. So if I'm going to go based on my personal experience and my Southern American definition of being friendly, not this Southern American, this Southern American, we have been very surprised at how warm and friendly Germans actually are compared to what we are often led to believe based on stereotypes. We've been invited over to various Germans' homes where they bring out the red carpet and treat us to amazing food. We have elderly couples that live around us that are constantly bringing us cinnamon rolls, German wine, or even plants for our garden. But maybe they're just telling us that they don't like how our house looks and are trying to take over the landscaping for us. Also, when we had our baby, all of our neighbors, some that we had never even talked to before, brought us over gifts and clothes for our little guy. I also can't tell you how many elderly Germans we've had tell us that they can be our Oma and Opa over here because they know we are so far away from our families and who try to look out for us. Have I had my fill of interactions with Germans in which I don't know if they like me or not because they don't maybe as openly show it as I would expect an American would? Sure, but just because a German sometimes may not smile as much as an American, does that make them less friendly? I don't think so. My personal opinion, Germans get more of a bad rap about not being friendly than I have found in my reality in Germany for the most part. Well, unless I just haven't been to the mean parts of Germany yet. 3 quick things. 1, a reminder, links to our brand new merch shop are in the description below. 2, a huge shout out to our patrons for their continued amazing support. Seriously, you guys truly are amazing. And 3, please hit that like and subscribe button, but now let's move on. When I was in some of my business classes during college, we would talk about doing business internationally and how important it was to recognize other cultures you may be working with and ensuring that you don't offend the other party. One thing that was brought up was, of course, how you should never be late to anything when working with Germans because of how punctual Germans are. This is also a super classic stereotype of Germans that I think everybody is well aware of, and because of that, when we moved to Germany, I would not only show up on time to everything that I could, but I would try and show up early to show Germans that I was interacting with that I was respecting their culture. If you can't tell from that statement, as much as I wish I was always punctual, Aubrey and I are well aware that we are usually late to everything. However, I wouldn't say that Germans are as strict about being being punctual as I originally thought they would be. Although sure, they generally are quite punctual people, one glaring exception to this stereotype, and maybe our German viewers can chime in now and see if they can guess what it is before I say it, DB. Oh, did I say that too fast before you could type your guess in the comments? Yes, Deutsche Bahn. The German train system, although it can be amazing and we love traveling by train, it can often have delays and cancellations and is not at all the punctual system that you would expect based on the German stereotype of punctuality. Now, of course, there are other train systems in the world that may be considered worse than DB, and in fact, the US doesn't really even have one, and maybe I'm slightly exaggerating this in your opinion, but a great example of the problem with DB is on another YouTube channel that I love to watch, Jet Lag, the game. This channel just wrapped up a series where players were playing tag across Europe and taking trains throughout Europe without any problems. In episode 6, however, the players suddenly arrive in Germany and start using DB, and guess what happens? Delays, canceled trains, and when you scroll through the comments, you say this is a very obvious problem well known in Germany, and this is then carried over into the finale episode as well. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but you definitely need to go check out this channel, and the link will be in the description. Deutsche Bahn also monthly updates data on their website that shows the punctuality of their trains, in which they define a train being on time if the scheduled arrival time was exceeded by less than 6 or 16 minutes. The lowest point of train punctuality in Germany so far this year was in August, when only 56.8% of DB long distance trains arrived on time based on the 5-minute delay allowance, and only 76.8% of trains arrived on time based on the 15-minute delay allowance. I will give credit where credit is due. DB regional trains perform significantly better. Just overall, not the always punctual and timely stereotype one might expect of a German train system. However, maybe they do this just in case YouTubers are filming a game show on their trains and they're just trying to increase the excitement. Germans are famous for being rule followers and stern with those that don't follow them, or so the stereotype would have you believe. I mean, as an example, we've talked many times about Germans standing at a crosswalk with a red light and not crossing, even if there are no cars, and then giving the old "Bei Rot musst du stehen" rhyme to anybody that dares to run across the street before the green. And in my experience living here, yes, this rule following stereotype generally is very true, with one glaring exception that have shocked many Americans visiting Germany that is also causing the demise and destruction of German cities: Wildpinkeln. The Washington Post once wrote, "Public urination is quite common in Germany, which is why police authorities rarely take action against such behavior," as you would know if you've ever been to Munich's Oktoberfest. Usually, authorities can punish public urinators with a fine of about $35, but local laws vary. Now, of course, Americans don't always hold it in until they are able to get to a toilet, but there is a noticeable difference in the rate that we've seen Germans who pee in public than what we are used to in the US. And to be fair to Germany, unfortunately, it does seem that a staple to large cities around the world is the smell of urine in corners and alleys. However, like the Washington Post article alluded to, and based on our personal experience, when we go on a road trip, one thing that we always see is going to be people peeing on the side of the road at rest stops rather than holding it in until a toilet. Or even in our small town where toilets are not far and are readily available, we've seen plenty of men taking a leak in a bush or in a place that we would never have expected it to happen. And in fact, this is a problem that is literally eroding away important landmarks in Germany, as the Stuttgarter Zeitung gives evidence of in an article where they talked about damage caused to the world famous Ulmer Münster caused by public urination. It's not the wind or the pollutants in the city air that cause this, it's the so-called wild urinators, as they are found in all cities. But they don't damage the world's highest church as they do in Ulm. So it's not just a random person here or there that publicly urinates, but enough people where they actually have significant, measurable damage done to an extremely important historical German monument that now requires lots of money invested to repair, all because of P. And this isn't the first or only landmark in Germany where we have seen signs or ways of trying to discourage this behavior. For example, in the St. Pauli neighborhood in Hamburg, a community group has applied a special water repellent paint to the walls of certain buildings that sprays liquid back in the direction it came from. Overall, with public urination being against the law and with as neat and orderly Germans are often perceived to be, it is surprising to see that this actually is this noticeable as something that happens in Germany, at least compared to what we are used to seeing in the US. Speaking of the orderly and organized perception of Germans, there is one thing that isn't against the rules at all and is totally acceptable, but it has just always felt very non-German to us, and that is buying sodas at grocery stores. Well, not actually the buying of soda, but physically how buying of soda is done in Germany. In the US, you will find essentially the exact same things as you will find in Germany. Packs of bottles shrink wrapped in plastic. However, the purpose of that shrink wrap seems to be completely different in the two countries. In the US, the shrink wrap shows that those bottles are being sold in a pack and you must buy the entire pack. If you want a single bottle, you must get that from a different section or shelf where single bottles are displayed. However, in Germany, Germans do the very aggressive act of ripping the bottles out of the pack, as the shrink wrap is not intended to get you to buy the entire pack, but I guess it's simply just for transportation methods, or maybe to make it easier to buy and carry multiple bottles if you wanted. I'm not really entirely sure of the purpose in Germany of the shrink wrap, but it clearly seems different than that in the US because of how you find these packages with bottles often missing in German grocery stores. Occasionally in the US, you will find a bottle ripped out of the pack as well, but it's super annoying to do that for the store because now the, for example, 6-pack is a 5-pack and can't really be sold as the 6-pack anymore. And it's annoying for customers who want to buy a 6-pack, but you have this ripped open package missing a bottle, so you can't get that one anymore. To an American, it feels like the equivalent of somebody opening a bag of crackers in the cracker aisle, taking a few crackers out of the bag, and then putting that bag back on the shelf just a few crackers short. And also, it could just be a weird personal OCD problem that I have, but I personally am surprised that Germans do it this way just because it leaves the shelves looking like a disheveled mess, kind of, with ripped open plastic packages all over them, rather than neat and tidy packages waiting to be grabbed fully intact. So partially because of what we were used to in the US, and possibly partially because of the perceived notion that Germans are orderly, neat, tidy, and rule following, when we moved here, this just felt completely unlike Germans and still feels slightly wrong to rip a bottle out of these packages. Most of the time when I do it, I kind of am anticipating getting scolded at the checkout counter for doing so and not taking the whole pack, but this is just a unique cultural difference we didn't expect to find when we moved here initially. Real quick, you guys need to go check out the web series The Land. This is a new campaign done by the state of Baden-Württemberg to help promote the state and show off its incredible opportunities to work and live there, along with how just dang beautiful the state is. They are launching the campaign with a hilarious web series that you guys have to check out. If not for the twists and turns of the series, I was genuinely shocked to see one of our very own that I know that we all love to watch now who had a little starring role in it. A link to their series is in the description below, so go ahead and check it out and leave a comment letting them know that I sent you there. To see who made it this far into the video, the random question of the week is: going out or staying in on a Friday night? Which do you prefer? Thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and we will see you in our next video. So just like you can't paint the entire nation as the lederhosen wearing Bavarians, for example, in the St. Pauli neighborhood in Hamburg,